What happened? What the heck just happened? Okay.
Hit the damn record.
Hit the damn record. See we record something. Premiumbeat.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the Unlikely Friends podcast where we talk about race relations, and everything in between. As you can see, solo edition, Desma's not here with us again. She will be with us shortly, I promise. I promise. So, Desma, please come back. If you are listening to us on Spotify, if you are watching us on YouTube, and you are following us on Facebook, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when we post a new video. So, ding, ding, baby, ding, ding. Anyway, I wanted to talk about something that weighed a little bit heavy on my heart because um, I do have a lot of Republican friends. Even though I am not a Republican, I am also not a Democrat. I am an independent. I am a Democrat leaning independent. I have to be very honest, but I am not a Democrat. There are actually some ideas and some policies from the Republican Party I do think are good ideas, but a lot of them aren't because they aren't for the betterment betterment of the people. A lot of their policies benefit usually only rich people. And what I don't like about the Republican Party so much, or the reason why I don't lean Republican, is because there are a lot of manipulative tactics that they use, and I just think it's just inherently wrong. I think they're on the wrong side of history when it comes to a lot of these things. So the American Republican Party has long been a dominant force in U.S. politics, but its success is not solely due to policy proposals or ideological appeal. Instead, the party has frequently relied on manipulation to maintain power, and that I have a small problem with. Often at the expense of democratic principles through misinformation, um, often at the expense of democratic appeals and strategic obstructionism. The GOP um, has shaped public perception and policies in ways to serve its interests rather than its constituents. Let's put it that way. So the misinformation and disinformation kind of runs rampant in the Republican Party for a whole myriad of reasons. But I just want to touch on a few points. I do have my points written down. So, one of the most effective manipulative strategies used by the Republican Party is the spread of misinformation and propaganda. Now, anyway, right wing media outlets, Fox News and Breitbart and Daily Beast and Newsmax, they often amplify false and misleading narratives that serve the GOP's political agenda. And let's just be honest. So, for example, the party has pushed conspiracy theories about election fraud, right? Particularly after the 2020 presidential election, despite lack of evidence. And let's be real about it. These claims have not only sown distrust in the democratic process, but it has also led to dangerous events such as January 6th, where we had the attack on the US Capitol. Additionally, Republicans have consistently misrepresented facts regarding public policies, Climate change has been a cornerstone of the GOP rhetoric. Scientific census overwhelmingly supports climate change. The reality that this human caused global warming is being denied is just unfathomable. By spreading misinformation, Republicans manipulate voters into opposing policies that could address external threats, often to protect corporate interest. And this is the bad thing about it. Another thing that they like to dip their feet in is called, voter suppression and gerrymandering. You know, sometimes I wish I wish the Democrats would gerrymander as much as the Republicans do. And I think the reasons why they gerrymander is just so obvious, Instead of winning elections through, broad public support, the Republican Party frequently retorts to voter suppression attacks. I always say, up your game, you know, uh, push policies that people like and people will vote for you, because you're pushing policies that people don't like, people don't vote for you. So what do? You gerrymander so that there is actually no choice. No matter how many Democratic votes you get, it's still going to be a Republican held stronghold. And, it's a bit villainous. And I don't like that about the Republican Party. I really don't. The Republican Party frequently retorts to voter suppression tactics across the United States. And the GOP led legislators, excuse me, the GOP legislators have passed laws restricting voting access, particularly targeting marginalized communities, especially in Georgia and Florida. These laws often include strict voter ID requirements and the reduction of early voting days and the purge of voter polls. What they're doing in Georgia, what he had done in Georgia, all of which disproportionately attack Black, Latino, and low income voters who tend to support Democrats. Gerrymandering, another key tactic, allows manipulate electoral districts to maintain power even when they receive fewer votes. Um, Ouch, that kind of hurts, The less votes you get, the more you stay in power. Wow. Anyway, they strategically redrawing district lines, and they ensure that their candidates win in a disproportionate number of seats in state legislators and Congress. This has led to situations where Republicans maintain control of state government despite losing the popular vote, effectively undermining representative democracy. And I can't get behind that when it comes to Republicans. I heard someone say a couple of weeks ago, and I said it in my podcast last week, they'll follow a dictator as long as it doesn't affect them. Another thing they like to dabble their feet in, is this exploitation of cultural divisions. The GOP has mastered the use of cultural and social issues to manipulate voters, often stoking fear and resentment to rally their base. Uh, Issues such as immigration, LGBTQ plus rights, and racial justice are frequently framed in ways that incite division and hostility. Rather than addressing these topics with a nuance or policy solutions, Republicans often employ these dog whistles, dog whistle politics, coded language that, signals racist or xenophobic sentiments without being overt. And they're quite good at that. For instance, Republican politicians have repeatedly demonized immigrants, falsely claiming that they're bringing crime, taking jobs from the American citizens. And this rhetoric is designed to create a scapegoat for economic problems rather than addressing systemic issues such as corporate exploitation and wage stagnation. Similarly, the party has engaged in moral panic over LGBTQ rights, particularly targeting transgender individuals with restrictive policies and inflammatory rhetoric. These tactics manipulate voters by shifting attention away from the substantive economic and political issues. And that's all there is to it. So they also like to dabble in obstructionism and hypocrisy. And, as much as I hate to say that, but, there are a lot of, uh, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the Republican Party. The Republicans have also manipulated the political system through obstructionism, particularly in Congress. During Barack Obama's presidency, the GOP made it a priority to block nearly every major Democratic initiative, even when these initiatives had bipartisan support. Senate Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, refused to hold hearings for Supreme Court nominee Merrick Garland in 2016 under the pretense that it was too late, it was too close to the presidential election. Whatever. However, in 2020, the same Republicans rushed to confirm Amy Coney Barrett just days before the election, revealing blatant hypocrisy and manipulation of judicial appointments for partisan gain. This strategy extends to legislative negotiations, where Republicans often refuse to engage in good faith discussions only to later blame Democrats for the lack of progress. By making governments appear dysfunctional, they undermine public trust in institutions, which in turn fuels the GOP's anti government rhetoric. This cycle of obstruction and blame serves as a powerful tool to maintain their voter base while preventing effective governance. So, the reason I can't get behind the Republican Party is because, the American Republican Party has consistently relied on manipulation to maintain power, often at the expense of truth, democracy, and national unity. Through misinformation, voter suppression, cultural fear mongering, and political obstructionism, the GOP has crafted a political strategy that prioritizes control over the will of the people. And these tactics not only erode public trust in democracy, but also prevent meaningful progress in critical issues such as climate change, healthcare, and economic inequality. As long as the Republican Party continues to rely on manipulation rather than genuine policy solutions, American democracy will remain at risk. And this is the reason why I cannot support the Republican Party. Next week, I'm going to talk about why I don't fully support the Democratic Party. But that's it for now. Everybody, if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bells so that you know when I post up a new video. So, ding, ding, baby, ding, ding. Take care. Bye bye.